Say Something. It's like a podcast, but it's a vodcast, so you can listen and watch. It's like news talk or sports talk, but it's life talk, so we can walk the road together. On today's show, Sarah Harmeyer with Neighbor's Table joins us to chat about natural inborn giftedness and practicing neighborly love.
And I'll start by first adding value to them, I think. I'll go around and I'll introduce them by name and then tell them what I love about them. Which some of these people, I've just seen them 10 minutes ago when they walked down the driveway and I thought, this is George. He loves his kids. He sounds like such a great father. He lit up telling me about their soccer games this morning. And he's an attorney, so if you need any help, he'll be down at this end of the table. Something so quick like that. But you see the smile creep out on people's faces, like something deep down inside them to be seen. We talk a lot about like being seen at the table. But sitting then down confidently at the table saying, I'm known a little in this space.
Thanks for joining the conversation. Here we go. All right, so our friend Sarah is in the car with us. In 2011, Sarah Harmeyer set out to serve 500 people at a farmhouse-style cedar table in her Dallas backyard with a simple mission, to gather and love people. Sarah met her goal that year and since then has served thousands of people at her original table. And from that, she started a nationwide love mission called Neighbor's Table, and with her father, has delivered homemade Neighbor's Tables to homes across the USA. To learn more and to connect with Sarah, visit neighborstable.com.
Okay, but you have to share, because I've heard this story before, so I feel like I'm sort of cheating.
Yes.
It's so remarkable to me how it sounds sort of bold, but it wasn't really that bold. It was just kind of just your heart that led you and the Lord working through your heart. But will you share just how you did that? Because you moved here and you really didn't know anybody else.
That's a great point because you did just move here. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So she had moved from Houston.
I knew two neighbors when I started, just my next door neighbors, Anita and Stephanie. And I knew I was in a job where I was working all the time and I didn't have kids that got me out of my house. I didn't even have a dog that I walked. I didn't know how to get to know the people closest to me. So this was at a time when Nextdoor, the neighborhood website and app, was coming out where you can connect with neighbors and stuff. We had 300 people on our little website in kind of like this 9-block radius. Well, I went on that website and I'm kind of old-fashioned in the sense that I love doing a real invitation sometimes. Yeah. And so I typed up
like a real invitation. I love that.
And when I say real, I mean I designed it in PowerPoint, y'all.
Right. And you printed it out on cardstock, I'm guessing.
Yeah, totally. And I actually mailed it to people. So I mailed it to 300 of my neighbors.
What?
Yep.
Right. Who you did not know.
I did not know. And it was as honest as this. If you've never stepped outside of your house to meet neighbors, would you consider coming this night? I don't know anyone and I'd love to get to know you. My neighborhood's called So Hip, so we called it the So Hip soiree. And I told everyone, bring a beverage and a dish to share and we'll get to know each other. And 91 people showed up that night, y'all.
That's why I said it's important to tell this story because you didn't know anybody.
Yep.
People received a piece of paper literally from a stranger.
People
who just said, I want to get to know you.
Be invited.
Yes.
Okay, so that is so true. They want to be invited and they don't care what the food is because they clearly had no idea.
Yep.
And then what did you do in 91? Because let's think for a small moment about whose house holds 91 people.
Well, and you didn't even have them inside your home, right? They were in your backyard. So for all those people that think your house has to be perfect, you have to have everything in order, you didn't even have them inside.
Yep. Nope. I had them walk down the driveway. I put on a little chalkboard on my front door that said, welcome, we're in the back. And everyone that walked out, we ran out of name tags so fast. We ran out of forks and plates. I had to send someone down to 7-Eleven to get that. But we had plenty of food and drinks because everyone brought it. I still remember, y'all, Father Will lives 2 doors down from me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And he sat at this little table. I mean, I had to pull every table I even owned out there to seat this many people. We just kept coming. And Father Will sat in the back corner of my yard, I still remember, smoking a cigar, and it looked like confession back there. People just kept sitting down and visiting with him. I met so many families that night, and I got to know a few names. So from that point on, I just kept inviting, and I knew it was important, and I'd have backyard concerts from my neighborhood, or just any reason I could think of, but the table was usually central to that. So
wow. Pretty fun. How has that changed your neighborhood or your the immediate blocks around?
So when we go to the neighborhood parties, Ed, he's like the mayor of our neighborhood. I feel like he's the guy that's on top of communicating with our police. He's the guy that tells us when bulk trash pulls out. Every neighborhood's got one of those people that's in the know. Well, he refers to me as the party girl. And for the girl that's grown up in church to be referred to as the party girl, I'm like, Lord, your sense of humor is so fun.
Really great.
So everyone knows that I'm the girl that throws parties. But now that this is something that we're doing for other people, and we're now building tables for other people, they don't even know that's my business now. They just know me as the party girl. So
I love that.
That's really fun.
Wow. So spreading and inspiring the party at other places.
Yep.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that, because I'm sure all of this you're going, I never would have thought.
Yeah.
Which again is such a great testimony for whoever's watching. Okay. Because for Sarah, her giftedness, she loves people. It's woven within you. And there's a gentle, welcoming nature about you that just is inviting. And so don't hear oh, you must have a welcoming, inviting nature and this is your deal, because everybody's got something. And it's sort of what is your giftedness, what is your purpose? The inspiring part is just try it, because you never know, and it's something that you're good at. You're good at it, and it makes you happy, and you love it, and then it allows you to love people so well, and then inspire more. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with it.
Yeah, I think that, and going back to that, I think the first tiny yes I had in just asking my dad to build this table, and then gathering and living into intentionally how God made me, was to do exactly that. Because I realized I'm a people gatherer, I wanted to live into that, in and outside my work, in and outside the church. Wow. And I feel when I'm doing that, it feels like all boosters are firing.
I love that.
And I think when we each find that thing that lights us up like that and gives God glory, there's not a better feeling.
Right.
Yeah. And that's when my friend Eric called me. He said, Sarah, I see God getting a lot of glory in your backyard. I wonder if he has something outside your yard. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? I had no clue what that meant, because we were having so much fun in my backyard. And I was sitting in a conference one morning, and they were talking about leadership and vision. And I started daydreaming, like a lot of us do at conferences. And I just was like, I mean, right?
Totally.
So true. And I said, there's other people wired like me. God's made other people gatherers. I wonder if I can find those people and cheer them on. And what if they need a home base, kind of like I did, a table that maybe my dad builds, or another table. So on a break, I called my dad and I said, Dad, I have an idea. Would you be up for building tables for other people? And he said, yeah. And I said, I've already got it. We'll call you the chairman of the boards.
The chairman of the board.
And so we laughed way too long about that. But that's how it started. So we started letting people know that, we're building tables, and we want to cheer you on to gather and to love people. And it just started from a place of exactly what you said, Kay. I just want to love people. I had an executive ask me the other week, Sarah, what's the end game for Neighbors Table? What's the goal here? And I'm like, we just want to love people. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's all I got. We just want to love people. So as things have grown, Dad's still building tables for everybody, and I deliver tables personally to everybody. Erin is part of our Neighbors Table family, and I got to go out to her lake house and deliver a table to them and sit down with her neighbors for that first meal. And I get to do that all over the country, which is such a privilege and such a treat and a great adventure.
Tell just a little bit. I mean, just to kind of fill in a little bit of the picture. How many tables have you delivered?
Over 200 now.
Okay, and across the states,
across the country. Yes. We're in 30 states.
In 30 states, that's a lot of tables, cool. And you deliver every single one.
I've delivered every single one except 3, and it worked out where Dad could deliver them, and they needed it on a certain date, and I couldn't be there. But yeah.
Okay, so besides Aaron's, what tables sort of like stick out in your mind? If that's a fair question, because that may not be, because it's probably all of them for a different reason.
Yeah, it's a hard question. Everything is remarkable about every delivery, and that's the joy of adventure in doing this. Is I don't know who I'm pulling up to. We've had a little bit of communication, emails, like we definitely know a little bit about each other before we show up. I ask for a picture of their family so we can see who we're building for as we build.
Isn't that cool?
It's really personal to us,
and you pray over the tables too, right?
Yeah, we just kind of try to get a kickstart with that in a good direction. So I love making a big deal about the families that get it, or the single person, or wherever these land. So it's highly effective. I'm meeting the best people in the country. Truly.
I
God's just
that.
bringing people forward. Like, yeah, this sounds like me. I want to be intentional about loving people.
But you know what it is? It is your mission, and you put it out there. And I think, and I've heard you mention this before, the right people are attracted to it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's worth mentioning, because it totally sold me personally.
Yeah.
Your hashtag is a love mission. And I love that. And so I remember when I first saw what you were doing, and I told my husband, we need to get this table. And he said, okay. And we're researching it. And he's like, it's a table. And I was like, well, no. It's not a table. It's a love mission. And that's very different.
Yeah. It's sweet. I think God does bring people forward that he's already been working in people's hearts that are pushing them to love people and to gather and use their own gifts. So it's exciting to see.
What has this taught you about God in your own life?
Good question.
Well, I keep coming back to, we are able to love because he first loved us. I'm floored by how much he loves me. And that enables me to love the plumber that shows up because he said, oh, you've got a big table. I'm like, yeah, you want to come? We're having dinner tomorrow night. Or my Pilates instructor that's seen me in class so often. And I'm like, you want to come? I know you'll connect with somebody there. And just being prayerful about how God might use me at a dinner party. Like, it almost sounds too flaky. Like, God, could you use me at a dinner party? But that's my element. And someone watching might say, you know what, my element is an aerobics instructor. I love a class, or I love Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's
and I can serve and love people through helping them with those things.
Yeah.
We're all wired in a special way, and God can use just the way he's made us. So I'm grateful for the way he's given me eyes to see people. And I think God sees the best in us, and he sees us as his children. And why wouldn't I want to try to love that way? It's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I bet it is. My daughter has a quote from somebody, and I'll have to find it for you. And it says, I wonder how many people I've walked by today and I haven't seen. And I think that that's an element in our busy days, that we can just engage life where we are and forget about the people that are next to us that are created in the image of God, you know? And so, which means there's something so special about each person. I wonder what life would be like if we really treated people as special and gosh, worth as much as each of us actually really are, whether we would even believe that about ourselves.
Yeah. I'm really prayerful as I set the table. I love praying over each spot, and I do a index card folded over just as a place card, and I write their name on it. And I will literally say, I've been so excited to have you, and I've been thinking about you all day, and each of you has a place at this table. You'll find your name. So they don't feel like a junior high kid trying to figure their place, like, who have I connected with, who am I going to sit by? So even things like that, I think, are reflective of how we've seen God say, I have a banqueting table. The banner of you is love. Like, there's so many things that we see in his word that we can be driven by and take instructions from of how he would sit. I would love to see Jesus at a dinner party. Like, who would he sit by?
Yeah,
was it the introvert? Would it be the leader? Would it be... I'm always curious. So
I love that. One of the things that I think is just so cool about your story as a whole is that you listen, you were aware of how God wired you. So that was sort of the first step. And then you were bold enough to just ask him a question like, what do you want me to do with this? But then you were obedient, in kind of a unconventional way, I would say. And not that that's for everybody, but obedience is really cool. And I do feel like God blesses that for sure. So can you talk a little bit about, because you have, I mean, this is your full-time gig now, and this is what you do. And just the way that you have trusted him and just seen great things come out of that. Can you sort of talk through that a little bit?
Yeah. I keep coming back to being rooted and established in love. We can either live in love or we can live in fear. So a lot of questions I get is like, you're a single girl. How do you welcome people to your home?
That's
that
so
you don't
true.
know? Or there's many ways we can live in fear. But if we live, what I've learned, if we live in love and we trust God's calling me to this, then he takes care of those things. There's a smart way to live, but I think being rooted and established in love, so everything that comes from that, it seems like God pulls it together.
Yeah, I bet you've learned a lot about that, what rooted actually is and what established looks like.
So a lot of that feels like rest to me. So there's a certain way of like striving for things. So we're in Dallas. There's probably a lot of striving and entertaining.
Sometimes I think it's like the epicenter, and the entertaining having to look a certain way.
For sure.
So I do think people don't want to have folks over to their house. In part due to Pinterest, partly due to Martha Stewart. I mean, it probably started with Martha Stewart and these beautiful ways to like learn how to cook or learn how to make things look beautiful. And the truth is that people don't care.
They don't. They want to be with each other and they want to connect. So I see that time and time again. People say, "Oh, Sarah, that was a great dinner party." I'm like, "What was great about it for you?" And they're like, "The people." I'm not afraid to mix up people. I'm not afraid to have people that are different from each other because I think we all have something of value to add. Even if there's some core things that we don't share, there's still things. So before we sit down, I always encourage people with a few little rules of the table. I never call it that, but I set us up for what experience we want to create together.
Right.
And I'll say stuff. I hope we do more listening than talking tonight, which kind of makes people go, "What does that mean?" Like, but that really is being present with each other. That's not being quick to assume I've got to share my opinion about something. Like, what if we just heard how someone was raised and we put that picture together? I say, I hope that we would serve each other tonight. We eat family style at my table. So I say, if you see water glasses low, jump up and fill them. If you want to load the dishwasher, I don't remember the last time I loaded my dishwasher, y'all. Like, I always add that one in.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
If you want a second helping, like, serve yourself and grab some for everybody else around you. So inviting people in to create the experience together, it takes the pressure off of me as the hostess. Like, yeah, I'm hosting tonight, but we get to create the experience we want tonight together.
I love that.
And everybody's in.
Do you put something out there, like to even start the conversation?
So what I'll do is I'll circle everyone up before we sit down at the table. And my table seats 20 people, so we usually got a pretty good sized circle. And I'll start by first adding value to them. I think I'll go around and I'll introduce them by name and then tell them what I love about them, which some of these people, I've just seen them 10 minutes ago when they walked down the driveway, and I caught, this is George. He loves his kids. He sounds like such a great father. He lit up telling me about their soccer games this morning, and he's an attorney, so if you need any help, he'll be down at this end of the table. Something so quick like that. But you see the smile creep out on people's faces, like something deep down inside them to be seen. We talk a lot about like being seen at the table, but sitting then down confidently at the table saying, I'm known a little in this space.
Yes.
And the person across from me.
Sarah, oh my gosh, that's so good.
And we talk so much about Tim Keller's being known and loved. And
I mean, that's really why we do this. It's like so that you know you're seen, you're known, you're loved, and to hopefully go say something encouraging and kind to somebody else. And I love how you just said that you don't necessarily know the person, but there are things that you can that are genuine. It's not like made up, because I don't think people want to hear some flaky something that doesn't resonate with them.
And I keep it real lighthearted. And some of my dear friends that come, I'm like, that text you sent me on Monday made my day. You knew exactly what I needed, and that was really encouraging. So it gives me an opportunity to affirm the people that I love and affirm the people that are new. And it's surprising. People are like, oh gosh, what's she going to say about me? She doesn't know me. But just knowing someone's name is huge. It is. It's huge.
Dale Carnegie always said that the sweetest sound to someone's ear is the sound of their name.
That's good. So that's how I start things. And then that follows with a few, like, this is what I really say, this is what I hope we would experience tonight. And I go into, I hope we do more listening and talking, that sort of thing. And then I genuinely look around. I say, would it be okay if I prayed for our meal? And I've never had anyone say no, but I always pose it as a question. And I pray, and then I say, grab a drink and let's have a seat, and food will be out if anyone wants to help bring food out. And then the rest is history. So.
And so you don't start a conversation, it just flows.
So one of the things I do, I know that all kinds of conversations are happening at the table. And I say at one point in the night, I'd love for us to have one conversation together. And that's usually over dessert. So I'll pose a question or say, what do y'all think about this?
That's good. So
Kay,
over dessert. Well, we do dinner parties a lot. And so, but sometimes, and often I do have sometimes I have homework.
Yeah.
Nice. I do.
I've been to one of those.
Because I always think there's always an article out. For me personally, there'll be some topic that I'm like, that's what. And so, so anyway, I love that you allow the conversation to go and then you do it at dessert, because I have found that sometimes it's a hard, that's a great transition time when people have eaten. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. If we're celebrating a birthday or something, it's just a great way to honor people. And that's another thing I say, if any time tonight you want to give a toast, I'm all about celebrating here. I love that.
That's so
We've
cool.
had like 12 toasts before at a dinner. Like, it is so fun.
That.
Even if it's like, here's to God's loving kindness.
This is so wonderful, because people walk out and they're like, they're filled.
Yeah.
Which goes back to that everlasting love that is just grounded and established and rooted in it, that their cups are literally filled.
Yeah.
Like they've eaten, which is always a great thing. To break bread with people actually changes a relationship. It just does.
Yeah.
And that they're filled. Like their stomachs are filled, but their souls are filled. And it doesn't sound like you're doing this aggressive, you're just allowing love to go. You're allowing it to do its thing without you navigating it.
I had a neighbor reach out to me right before Christmas one year, and he emailed me, said, my son and I's plans fell through for Christmas. I know your table is a place where people that don't have a place can come. And I'm like, one, I've never even said that. And he said, are you having an orphan Christmas this year? And I'm like, well, now I am when you put it that way.
Right.
So I said, Lee, let me ask my family. I bet we could do lunch that day. And so I said, would you mind if we open it up to the neighborhood? There might be other people that need a place to come. But I love that he said that my table is a place where people that don't have a place can come. Like, I've never said that. I love that he feels that way. We had 9 men come on Christmas Day that year. I didn't know any of them except Lee and his son. And we were sitting there just shooting the bull over Christmas dinner, not even talking about baby Jesus or anything. And I've got these huge 5-foot-tall letters that spell love along my fence.
Love those.
And Russ, this guy Russ that showed up, he points over at the letters. Tears were literally welling up in his eyes. And he goes, that's what it feels like here. It feels like love.
And I love that
we carry the light of Christ.
Right.
Like, people that don't know him will see that.
Well,
but it's interesting because I think people think that in order for people to end up feeling like that, that everything has to look a certain way, that it has to be planned a certain way. And I love that you have 12 toasts during dinner, and and it's in your backyard. And granted, the tables are beautiful, but it's a wooden table.
But you've seen my yard,
right? And
chain link fence,
right?
Like, it's not pretty, but the second people get back there, it comes alive. There's an 18-year-old in Atlanta that has a neighbor's table. Her family does, and she has cereal night around the table with their
I
friends.
Cereal
love
night.
that cereal night.
I'm like, it
Brilliant.
doesn't take a lot, but
No.
those kids love it.
Yeah.
They all bring a
I
box.
bet they love it.
Yeah.
And then they do a suicide cereal where they put it
all
all in there.
together. It's awesome. Spoken like a mother.
I personally do it. It's because we have 20 boxes with
Little
nothing
bit
in
of
them.
it,
Like
yes.
I'm like, throw the box away for Pete's sake.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm like just
hilarious.
putting it in.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, Sarah.
You're awesome.
Y'all are the sweetest.
Thank you so much. This has not been
Isn't
long
it so
enough,
good?
so we look forward to a meal together.
Great.
And
Yes,
It makes me,
invited.
it
Yeah.
makes me teary. It
I know
just-
it's hard not to because
Well-
it's just watching the truth play out. Like
Right.
it just and it's like be overwhelmed by truth that gosh, these people matter. Everybody walking next to you just cares. I mean, even if it's in the grocery store line, I just it doesn't matter what it does somebody for somebody to be seen and to be known.
Yeah.
Let's do a lot more of that than the arguing and the deciding
For
and the
sure.
judging and all of that kind of stuff.
But the example that you're providing, I think,
It's
is so
beautiful.
great. And I can tell you, like, we followed your lead. And so after our first night at our neighbor's table, which you were there with our neighbors, I said, anytime you see us pull in the driveway, I want that to be that's the sign that we pull into the driveway.
That's good, Erin.
And then I just want you to just call or text and just say, what time are we meeting out at the table?
Awesome.
And that's what happens now.
Awesome.
I mean, it is so
Wow.
fun. In fact, the lake flooded the other day and too much rain. And one of my neighbors went over just to check on the neighbor's table.
Oh. I love that.
She's like, no, the table can't. You have to
But
watch
Erin,
out for the table.
I learned so much from everyone else that has tables. Like
Yeah.
that's this magical exchange of learning from each other. We're all practicing love. We're practicing hospitality, and that we don't have it right every time, but we're
I know,
You're
it's
making me
like the
cry.
tears.
Mhm.
And the thing that's crazy about it that happens every single time is you're the one. It's not something that depletes. It actually becomes exponential, and it feeds everyone to the point of being filled to overflowing.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
I'm watching it on you. I'm watching it on you.
Which is
and-
what makes me cry.
Yeah.
We
So
all need it, and we can all give it.
Yep.
And
And
there's
our world
just no
needs it.
escaping it. There really isn't.
yeah. So don't be afraid. It's like the source is good. The source that it comes from is
Yep.
good and knows exactly
And
what
enough.
every person needs. Yeah. Okay.
It's good.
Any other tidbit before?
No, I don't know anything.
It's so good. She says that, but those are true. So
Wisdom. Just
yeah,
using.
I personally will be taking away a few of your tidbits. Just anyway, and I know you've got more. So you can find Sarah at
NeighborsTable.com or
Okay.
on social media, just Neighbors Table.
and it's one of those things. Be inspired to grow and flourish in your giftedness where you are. But let me tell you, breaking bread, we all eat every day, and it sure is fun to reach out and eat with somebody. So
Take up the invitation. RSVP. Jesus said, love your neighbors. He gave us a great invitation. So let's do it.
yeah, okay, go say something encouraging to somebody, and for Pete's sake, break bread with them, or even go by the 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee. I mean, you can drink too. It's popcorn, Slurpee, anything.
Totally. Order pizza.
Pizza is good.
Yep.
Or cereal.
And cereal night.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks again for joining the conversation. We love hanging out with you guys. Want to stay connected? Like or follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us on Instagram. See you next time on Say Something.